This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is Dave Nixon, and today I want to share with you a bit of an early idea that I have at the moment. I suppose like a concept and something that I came across as I call the anti-potential. And the anti-potential is, or the anti-potential, however you want to say it, but the anti-potential is actually almost a lifestyle. It's a style of life that we may live where we are living in congruence with the anti-potential, which is the opposite to our potential. And I mean, this is why something like the Enneagram is so beautiful. And I remember saying it to a friend of mine one time. I said, he thought that me and somebody else were really similar, and I said, actually, if you look at something like the Enneagram, which is a personality type indicator, but it's significantly more than that. It's what we call both a horizontal and a vertical developmental model. And by all means, if you're not sure what that Enneagram is, just jump in the Mood Prep online group. It's free. I've shared it in there, and I'm happy to share it again. Just jump in there, and more than happy to expand on stuff in there. But he goes, there's heaps of that kind of stuff out there, and it's just easier to pass off as a personality type indicator, and that's all it is. But what it really is, and the reason why I and the people that I've learnt stuff on, this type of stuff from, and use that model, is because it's actually a path of development. And so they'll refer to things such as ego traps, and these ego traps effectively are us living our anti-potential. And so you look at the 9 types across the Enneagram, and you look at the first type, known as the reformer, or otherwise known as the perfectionist. The second is the helper. The third is the achiever. The fourth is the individualist. The fifth is the investigator. Sixth is the loyalist. Seventh is the enthusiast. Eighth is the challenger. And 9 is the peacemaker. Now, those names, some of them may actually ring true to you just by the name. However, the actual model itself will show the average healthy levels and what kind of behaviors or traits or intentions they may have, and then it shows the healthy levels and the unhealthy levels, right? So there's 9 levels of healthiness, and there's also paths of integration. So some types will look like other types depending on whether they're healthy or not. And so the interesting thing around this is that it's quite a fluid model, and her and I actually got opposites, and so we literally are in many different ways. But once again, it's not just a simple personality type indicator. That it goes far past that. And the ego traps that it speaks about is actually showing us if we are living in those traps, then we are living our anti-potential. Our potential is moving towards often the things that we find most difficult. But you look at something like the Enneagram once again, and what it can show you, that the path of healthiness is actually almost in the name of the actual type. And what happens is that people go, I'm this type. It's like, no, you're all types. You're just different levels of those types. Like, I've met people who are a type 7, the enthusiast, and that's a significantly higher score than the next couple, and it shows. However, usually the top 3 scores are the ones that you'll probably relate to the most, as opposed to just being one specific type. And it's interesting because those types doesn't allow us to go, that's just me and that's what my type is. It's like, no, they're learnt behaviors that I probably learned as a child, and they're probably based around love, seeking affection, protective, so self-preservation, safety, some core basic needs, and a lot of that sort of stuff. Some of it's temperance, but a lot of it, same with what's called our meta programs, are actually developed as part of our developmental strategy of being safe, healthy, and loved when we're young. And so they manifest in different ways as we get older, and they end up manifesting in ways where they become our ego traps or encourage us to live our anti-potential. And something like, let's have a look at an example of one. So the achiever, right? The achiever is a type 3. The achiever is somebody who A very healthy achiever is someone who will be happy to hand off the recognition and is really keen to getting, tasks and things done, but not for the sake of losing their health or hurting other people or anything like that. They're just really a really good role model to be able to lead the next generation. An average type 3 will often work themselves into the ground a little bit. They may be not necessarily manipulative, but not honest in all of their dealings with people, and they may actually have a particular persona that they put on to some people, and they change it for other people, and so they think they're being quite adaptive, but what they're actually doing in that space is being somewhat manipulative based upon so that the quote that sits most with these types of people is, I'm not who I think I am not who you think I am who I think you think I am. And probably sit on that for a little while. I am who I think you think I am. And what ends up happening with these types of individuals is that their ego traps is achieving. I'm good when I'm achieving, when I'm getting things done, when I'm doing things, when I'm winning, and when I'm making money, when I'm selling houses, or when I'm doing anything along those lines, in that type 3ness, then I'm good. And that's a condition, so it's actually a conditional esteem. So the reason why they're lying to you is so that they can be good, because what was probably honored in their development when they were growing up was the fact that, if you're not first, you're last, for example. And so the anti-potential is actually having that kind of attitude, whereas their true potential is when they step into this space of actually and it's in the name of the achiever, when I achieve not needing to achieve, but choosing to, then I'm living my potential. And that might sound indifferent, but it's because a lot of the time we lose who we are as a genuine human being in pursuit of what we are in somebody else's eyes. And so this is one of the things about being seen. And hey, this has come up for me in the past, and when it hit me like a truck. But the need to be seen takes away from our need to just be. And who we are as we are, and people will see us for what they see us as. That's out of our control. But when we stop the need for being seen and we just start doing what it is that we are, and we unfold as we are, and people see us as we are, not as we're trying to be seen as, then that's really where our potential is. And that's a lot to unpack. It may be worth going back and listening to this and taking some notes or whatever. I don't know. For me, when I came across a lot of this stuff, it wasn't in a 10-minute podcast, I'll tell you that much. And so, looking at this, it's the anti-potential is ignoring all the parts of our development that are calling our name but are scary to us, right? So the idea of losing face, it's like, yeah, that's the thing that needs to happen to you most. The idea about being by myself, and this is, I had to deal with this, and a lot of my type 2 behavior, so my scores were 7, 8, and 2, so the enthusiast, the challenger, and the helper. And if you ever meet me in person, those things probably make more sense. But the type 2ness of me wanted to continually help, and so I really got a lot of value from helping. And I really saw a lot of my worth in helping, and a lot of the time I wasn't helpful. I was trying to help them based off my values, not based off what they needed, based off their human conditions and life conditions at that point in time. And that's me being in a space of thinking that I know better than where they are. This is where I had to really learn that the quote, like Alan Watts shares, which is, please let me help save you or you'll drown, said the monkey to the fish, putting it up a tree. It's like the monkey doesn't know what's best for the fish. The fish, maybe it's going through some struggles, but that's for the fish to sort out. And I've talked about this many times before. And so the helper just needs to help themselves and learn how to really reference themselves and really get in touch with themselves and put themselves first. And then they start to be helpful on a number of reasons that A, they're healthier so they can actually help people out more. But B, they actually let other people build themselves up, and they end up also becoming this sort of beacon of inspiration. And that's really helpful, you see. So these ego traps that we fall into, and it's just a trap of what our ego may tell us, that tells us that if we do this, then we're good, whatever it is, right? If we figure out answers to something, if we put something together, if we find a solution, we're good. It's like type 5, investigator, hello, no mate, you're good already. There's some work for you there, right? The type 9, if I just keep the peace and keep everyone happy, then it's good and I'm at peace. But really, they're daydreaming. They're not even living. Right, they just escape. And that's not at peace. In fact, they're at war. But they try and keep the peace. See, there's all this, and it's really quite fascinating. This is a world to delve into if it interests you. And otherwise, you may be living your anti-potential. And my challenge to you, from my Type A challengeness, is to really use 2019 as a year to really wake up to a lot of this stuff. And some of you might take that on. Some of you may already be doing it. You know, it's not a oh, I woke up. It's a continual waking up, seeing the Matrix for what it is. And I'm not saying rage against the government. That's not necessarily what I'm getting at. Although sometimes it doesn't sound like a bad idea. I'm saying wake up to how you're living your life on a deeper level, and watch your life change. Watch the shit that you stress about from day to day. Maybe you're at this stage, great. But for a lot of us, and I know me in certain stages, I still catch myself being like, fuck, that's why I care so much about that. That's got nothing to do with anything to do with it. That's really interesting. Oh, and I just see this part of me that I held on to, that held me back to the past, just fall away, hit the ground and crumble and just leave. And I was like, I cared about that so fucking much yesterday, and it just means nothing today. Wow. And at that point, if I had an issue with a person, and that's the issue that fell away, now I get to see that person as they are, not as I saw them as. And that's fucking epic. I've gone over time. Team, I'm out. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you found this podcast beneficial, it would mean the world to me if you would pass it on and share it with other people that you think might find it beneficial. Otherwise, if you haven't already, jump on Facebook, search Mood Prep Online. It's free. Jump in the group. I would love to continue the conversation there. Otherwise, team, you know the deal. Until tomorrow, peace and pizza. Kick today in the dick. Slay the dragon. I'll see you soon.
To be everything at once, be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unlearned.